Peter, I think it was a great session, and I think one of the key topics that came up was the importance of non-tax agreements, the increasing importance of non-tax agreements. We discussed cases like UCOS, etc. Could you just summarize the issue, because there seems to be two sides of the same coin, and there isn't a unanimity on whether non-tax agreements should be used to resolve tax cases or not.
Well, I think whether they should be or not, they will be. We absolutely are in a world where non-tax agreements, free trade agreements, investment agreements, energy agreements will impact tax decisions and tax planning. So the burden is on the tax professionals to understand these other agreements, to think about these other agreements, not only for dispute resolution, but for planning purposes. Because a lot of times, if we just think about tax principles, we might make one decision, but if we understand the investment and trade agreements that are available, we might counsel our clients to make different decisions.
I think one view from one of the panelists was that it would be a concern if trade lawyers were to negotiate tax cases. You don't buy that?
No, I think that's true, but I don't think that's what happens. In the real world, when there's a tax dispute being handled under a trade arbitration, in fact, the arbitrators do look to the tax community for their expertise, their views. The tax world is very, very involved in these matters, even if the dispute is resolved under a trade agreement. So I don't think the tax community is giving up either responsibility or obligation here.
Last question, what's the harm in using the MAP route? You don't think it's effective enough, because you seem to suggest that you would never have seen a UCOS-like settlement, a $50 billion relief, that would not have been possible under the MAP route?
Well, the MAP rules require the two parties to endeavor to agree. And so, frankly, whether it's the Vodafone case or the Lone Star case in Korea or UCOS with Russia, I don't think it's realistic to think the tax officials will endeavor to agree and come up with an agreement that's in the billions and billions of dollars. And I point to the Glaxo case, where the US and the UK tax officials could not agree on a $3 billion matter.
Last question. Indian Finance Minister, the Minister of State for Finance, in her remarks at the G20 meeting last month said that use of arbitration to settle tax disputes impinges on India's sovereignty. It's a very interesting point and a very strong comment.
I disagree. I understand the point, and it certainly is being voiced not only by India but by other countries as well. But I think a sovereign maintains their sovereignty when they choose affirmatively to allow a dispute to be settled in some particular forum. The U.S. is as strong a believer in sovereignty as any country, and yet we have arbitration in the U.S.-Canadian tax treaty.
Thanks so much, Peter. Thanks so much.